Um, yeah, Andy, if you don't mind giving us a countdown, we can go ahead and get started.
Oh, would everyone be willing to introduce themselves, by the way?
Oh, that's reasonable. I'm Mary, and I will be on the right-hand side for this.
I'm Sailor Neb. By process of elimination, I must be on the left-hand side.
I am Andy MCC. I will be doing commentary.
And I am Renata, your couch queen, here to read donations and provide support for the rest of this stream. For this rest of this block, actually. I won't be here for the whole stream, sadly. So yeah, do you want to start the run, and then I can start us off with some initial donations?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I'll give you a countdown.
All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so just a little explanation of what you are looking at here. So this is the Zelda 3 randomizer, Link to the Past randomizer. Sorry, and the idea is that they are running the Super Nintendo game Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, but it's been run through a ROM hack, and the ROM hack is taking all of the items in the game and moving them around at random. So normally Zelda 3 is made of a series of sort of locked doors and keys for those locked doors. The locked doors aren't always the keys aren't always literally keys. Like maybe there's a wall, and in order to get past the wall, you have to have the boots that let you run really fast. It's kind of got actually Zelda is a Metroidvania actually. The idea is that you're supposed to find items that open up new areas, but because we've moved all the items around, which order you do the areas in is going to be different. Normally you need, for example, the boots to get the book that lets you into Dungeon 2, but in this one, maybe you'll wind up finding the book somewhere else early, do Dungeon 2 first, and then Dungeon 2 will give you the boots. So playing this game means you have to basically memorize the entire map of the game. You need to know where every single chest or every opportunity to get an item is, and then you kind of have to make guesses as to what is the smartest order to check all of the different places that an item might be, trying to find the items that are necessary to beat the game. And there are a set of items that are mandatory to defeat Ganon, which is the goal. And we'll maybe mention what some of those are as we get a little further in. Actually, this stream is being really nice to both runners so far. One problem is this is theoretically a race. This is a fun, informal race. The point is to raise money for community bail and mutual aid funds. But to the extent it's a race, one of the big things is that neither of our runners has any idea where anything is. They can only find things by just checking every single place they can think of. So if I get really excited and be like, oh wow, Mary got this really, really good item, then Sailor Nep will know. So one thing that's really interesting right now is that Sailor Nip and Mary have taken very, very different routes, and each of them has, at this moment, a few items that are really useful. So they have different sets of things they might do. So we might actually see some kind of wild divergence for a while.
May I read some donations?
Yes.
Go for it.
Perfect. We have a whole we have a lot of donations to get through. So this is exciting. This is very exciting for me. We have a donation from The Red Goat for $4.20. They say, all cops are bastards, keep up the good work, and thank you. We have a donation from Matt for $52.80 to the Suffolk County COVID-19 Mutual Aid Fund. They say, I grew up in the Long Island suburbs in a town that was 88% white, directly next to a town that was only 24% white. You can guess why that was. Fuck cops, fuck suburbs, fuck Robert Moses. Next, we have a donation from Nathan for $25.70 to the Act Blue National Bail Funds. They say, you all are rock stars. Thanks for being an excuse to donate and watch more games. Gita, you've been such an incredible voice, and commentary on games and everything else is ceaselessly insightful. Heather, your work on Kotaku always forced me to think critically about what I was playing, and I have no doubt you're already doing awesome things in your new role as Double Fine people like you. At Double Fine, people like you two and your co-streamers today give me hope for the future of gaming and games journalism, and I can't wait to read, support, contribute whatever you all work on in the future. Oh, that was a doozy. Thank you so much. Those are also very kind things to say about Heather and Gita, and very true things to say about Heather and Gita. We also have one more donation for this little block I'm doing, from Joe for $55. Joe says, "Keep up the good work, y'all," and folks, just keep those donations coming, and we will keep up the good work. It's the little trade we all make.
So a couple things. I don't know how well y'all can follow what's going on if you haven't watched Randomizer stuff before, but a couple things to note. Neither player started with any kind of weapon. Sometimes in Randomizer runs, you get quite a ways into the game before you have a sword, and you're having to do absurd things like try to kill bosses with a hammer. Just hit them with a hammer on the head until they die, I guess. Also, you'll notice they both got a flute and then played a little song in front of the statue of a bird thing in the village square. That means they both have the ability now to warp around the map. So this is actually going pretty fast right off the bat. We've got both runners with swords, and they've got access to a great deal of the map, at least in the light world.
I have a question about randomizer runs.
Mm-hmm.
How long do they usually take? Is it usually like longer or shorter than a more traditional speed run?
I think it probably actually depends on the game, like how it's randomized and like what kind of options you've actually turned on for randomization. For this, we're actually just playing a fairly standard, like what's referred to as open 7/7 seed, which is very, very similar to a vanilla route or a vanilla game. And compared to like the average speedrun, it actually takes around the same amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
If you watch really, really high level streamers, like people who are already speedrunners running Randomizer, a lot of the time they can, especially if they get lucky, they can go faster. For a normal runner, probably you're going to go a little bit slower doing a Randomizer because you can't just follow a route. You can't just go directly where you need to go. You need to check everything. So in some ways, doing a Randomizer is like doing 100% speedrun, whereas most people are going to be speedrunning, 20%.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Probably we've allotted about 2 hours, and about an hour and a half to about 2 hours is a normal time for a Randomizer on this game. There's actually a thing where Speedruns Live will do weekly races of this. So there's like, when I tried this a couple years ago, it was like 150 people would sign on all at the same time, and I assume it's even more people now. But the idea is that when you run this, you use a seed, which is the kind of the code that determines where everything is going to be. And so they will share a seed in IRC, and then everyone at the same time posts their Twitch URL, a bot picks it up, and then you have several hundred people at the same time trying to run this same randomized version of Zelda. And when you have 150 people, you usually get at least one person who gets really, really, really lucky and winds up just by coincidence picking the optimal route.
Yeah, something that actually...
That's a really cool way to do this.
A pretty cool development that happened fairly recently in the randomizer community is someone developed a competitive ladder that will pair people up with 1v1 matches, but it won't actively tell you who you're paired against. That way people can one, find somebody roughly on their skill level to play against, and also it makes it very easy to find a race if you happen to be looking for one. It's been pretty cool.
Wow.
So I just want everyone to notice Mary is indeed walking on water right now. A thing about the randomizer is you, with the settings we've got, it is guaranteed that the game is completable without using glitches, that it's completable only doing normal things. But usually runners will do some glitches just to speed themselves along. So actually, in this case, since Mary already had the flippers, the walking on water glitch did nothing but save time, but it was really cool. So
Yeah, like, that was 100% just because I have the boots, so water walking is much quicker than swimming.
Mhm. Alrighty, may I read some donations? Because we have a pretty long backlog here.
go for it.
Perfect. Actually, let me just update the doc real quick.
Ow.
Alrighty, we have a donation from Christopher Schaller for $275
Nice.
to the Act Blue National Bail Funds. Christopher says, Black Lives Matter. Next, we have a donation from Nick of $110 to the Act Blue National Bail Funds. Nick says, all cops are bastards, and thanks for doing this again. Next, we have a donation from Ren Hawthorne for $11.47 to the Act Blue National Bail Fund. Ren says, hello, friends and Antifa Soupy soldiers. Will anyone join me in donating $11.47 to support brave efforts to attack and dethrone God? P.S. Fuck Turks, with the correct emphasis on fuck. Thank you for, making your emphasis there. And one more for this little set. We have a donation from Hannah Khan for $27 to the Act Blue National Bail Funds without a message.
So, Nap, how about those fucking Kakariko boots?
It's really nice to get the boots early.
Yeah.
Getting the boots early is always such a wonderful feeling.
The room Sailor Nep was just in. You'll notice there were just 2 chests there. That's one of a couple of things. When the randomizer script moves all the items around, it usually makes a couple of small changes. Usually people will select a custom sprite at that point. But also there's a couple of things that the randomizer changes. It removes all the text. Because if you're playing this, you already know most of the text, and also the text is in Japanese because we are. When you do the randomizer, you're always running with the 1.0 Japan version of Link to the Past because there are more glitches that are possible in it, and glitches are fun. So they'll remove all the text. They'll fix a couple of. There's a couple of weird bugs in the original Legend of Zelda that could lead to a soft lock. A lot of them require you to do things that are impossible, but in a randomizer run, it's not very fun to be trying to. In a normal speed run, you'll just, if you're doing something that might confuse the game, you will know what the bugs are and avoid them so that you don't crash the game. But in a randomizer, it's more fun to just patch the bugs out. So they did. They also did change a couple things, like that one room where Sailor Nep went in. Normally, what you're supposed to do is throw something into the little pond and you get an upgrade. But the game decided it was easier just to put the people who designed the speedrun. The people who designed the randomizer decided it made more sense to just put some chests there. That's a little bit less confusing.
So, how long have randomizers kind of been active? Like, people actively been doing that in the community, in speedrunning spaces? Is this a relatively new phenomenon, or has it been going on from 2012?
I don't think it's quite 2012, but I would say it's at least 4 or 5 years old.
I want to say somewhere around 2015. I'm not certain, but I think the Link to the Past randomizer might have been the first. It's a good question. I don't know the answer.
I know it wasn't the first. It was one of the first ones that really took off. I can't remember. I know there were a few randomizers before. I just don't remember which ones.
The first one that I personally remember encountering was the Zelda 1 randomizer. That doesn't necessarily mean it's older, it's just when I found it. That was back in, I want to say, spring of 2017.
What I'll say is that I think I noticed them relatively early. I was streaming them somewhere around 2017, I think. But I want to say that the Zelda 3 randomizer, the Super Metroid randomizer, and the Zelda 1 randomizer were some of the earlier ones. Because those are games that are really well suited to the randomizer because they have these very complicated lock and door structures. They don't have a lot of things like cutscenes. You do see people have started doing more and more stuff with randomizers involving like games that are normally kind of a little bit less obvious. Like there's a really popular randomizer called Free Enterprise for Final Fantasy II, I think. I'm very confused how a randomizer for a JRPG would even work, but it's pretty popular, so I assume it's pretty fun. A really strange thing that came up in the last, I want to say, year or so is the Link to the Past plus Super Metroid crossover randomizer, where they shoved Link to the Past and Super Metroid into one ROM, and there's kind of doors between the two. So like you walk into all the map rooms, and they took out the map rooms, they took out the fortune tellers, and they made the fortune teller doors linked to the Super Metroid map rooms. And then when they randomize, they move the items around. So you might go into Super Metroid and find the boots for Zelda, which is deeply silly, but it's actually really fun to play.
I actually saw one of your streams fairly recently where you were doing a playthrough of the SMZ3 randomizer.
Yeah, I did that for the first time a few weeks ago. It was a little hard because normally you need to know a game pretty well in order to do the randomizer, because one of the things about randomizers is the critical items could be anywhere. So like for example in Super Metroid, there's a lot of single missile packs. The game has lots and lots of single missile packs because the game is not expecting you to get all the single missile packs. They just assume you'll find a certain number at random by the end. But it's completely possible that something which is completely mandatory to beat the game could be in a single missile pack, which is like in a really obscure place. So you kind of need to know, like, either know where all the missile packs are or have a list of them if you're going to do the Super Metroid randomizer. It's a little bit hard to just kind of jump in, not being familiar with the game, and expect to get everything. Although I think Link to the Past randomizer is pretty good about all the items are in places that you would probably find them by just wandering around. But I jumped in and did the Link to the Past Metroid crossover randomizer without having done any Super Metroid runs other than just having played it in the past. So that went pretty well. The Super Metroid's an interesting game for randomizer because there's so in this game there are, I don't know if anyone's looked at the map yet, but the structure of this game is that you need to find I think 8 crystals to unlock Ganon's palace at the top of the map to unlock fighting Ganon. Yeah. So Mary just looked at the map. So I might have these numbers wrong, but there's 3 palaces that give you crystals, 3 palaces that give you pendants, and then 8 palaces that give you crystals, and you need to get all the crystals. In this version of the randomizer, you can pretty much just walk into most of the palaces, and that means you can skip the ones that have pendants. Although you might choose to go to the pendant palaces anyway, just because they might have important items. Super Metroid is a little bit weirder because it's got a structure where you're expected to fight the bosses in a particular order, but speedrunners have found tricks that let them do the bosses in any order they want. So I think probably the Super Metroid randomizer is more interesting if you know, like Mock Ball and some of those other things that will let you do the bosses in random order. But I can't do any of those, and it was still pretty interesting.
So a note about the randomizer phenomenon in general. Something I found fairly interesting was recently an official randomizer released for the game Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night.
That's really interesting. I didn't know they'd done that.
Yeah, it has a nice number of settings and flags that can be chosen from.
Yeah, I do think it's actually pretty interesting that, like, it's I don't know if that's the first official one, but the fact that it's like actually getting into official development cycles is certainly interesting, if nothing else.
Yeah, I've been really curious about whether you could design a game that sort of has the randomizer feeling without being how shall I put this? Without being a little bit hard, without kind of requiring being a little more accessible, I think is the way I'd put it, because randomizers, you do have to kind of study a little bit to do them. You have to kind of learn the game, and that means, if you can find like the right Discord or whatever, they'll just be like, oh, read this Google Doc full of links to YouTube videos that help you, but you kind of have to study. There's a lot of games with randomizer like ideas, like the entire roguelike genre, but I think what's interesting to me about randomizers is the thing that it's like partially random, like in a randomizer, it's, in a roguelike, it's like the game map is random, the positions of items are random, usually even the items that you get are random. But in a randomizer, there's some things that you can, hold on, wait, Mary's in trouble.
I really fucked up that damage boost. Oh my god, I'm just gonna do this the normal way. The trick Mary is doing right now is incredible. Oh my. It's invincible. It's got like a halo of fire. That was such a mess. I promise that was supposed to be cleaner.
What Mary's doing, what you usually want to do is kill everything in the room, and then the little like flaming skull things will all move out of the way and let you hit the switch. But if you do that room exactly right, you can, while you're invulnerable after getting hit, you can step on the switch and it just works. And if you mess the trick up even a little bit, it takes like 10 times as long.
Don't be me, kids. Do the tricks right the first time.
Anyway, randomizers, interesting because the map is fixed, but the positions of items are random, which means that you can memorize some things, learn some things, and then other things you have to kind of be doing guesses. Although there are randomizers that are more random than this. There's what's called the Zelda entrance randomizer, which actually does rearrange the order of the rooms in the game, and then you've got something that resembles a roguelike much more.
Yeah, like there's been a lot of like kind of additional option development done on the Link to the Past randomizer. Fuck me. So that you can randomize more than just the item locations. You can randomize like what enemies you fight in these areas. You can randomize where the doors you lead, like you were talking about. You can randomize like what bosses will be at the end of dungeons. It's honestly like, it's all really neat. Like, if you want to have an interesting experience, like it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, one thing with Link to the Past in particular is it feels kind of like a happy accident. There's so many interesting interactions with different items that just normally never come up in the normal course of the game, and it makes the game randomized just so much more interesting.
Speaking of happy things that aren't accidents, may I read some donations?
Go for it.
Perfect, thank you so much. We have a donation from Nico with a K, $300 to the Act Blue National Bail Fund. Nico says, donating to push us over 10K, which tells you how far behind we are in donation rating. If you're fortunate enough to still be employed, one of the best things you can do is start those uncomfortable conversations with your coworkers, especially if your workplace culture is not to discuss politics. People are more receptive to the idea of abolishing the police than ever, and we have to build our coalition. Black Lives Matter. We also have I also have a donation from of $420 from Kobold Underlord. Kobold Underlord says, I said I'd donate at $420, but I got too antsy, so here's an early meme donation. Love y'all, happy Wrath Month, Black Lives Matter, and please, gently, the kobolds. We have a $11 donation from Anonymous to the Act Blue National Bail Funds. They say, I set up a recurring donation because of the stream. Abolish the police, and God bless. And I'd like to read two special donations, one of which is from Cameron Kunzelman for $100 to the Atlanta Solidarity Fund. Cameron says, here's a scorching hot hundo. I hope you get the wand of Gamelon. Next is a $100 donation from Scott to the Act Blue National Bail Funds. And Scott says, "Go Mary."
Thank you, folks. They're from a community I hang out with pretty regularly called Range Touch, which is actually like Cameron's kind of like community he built around the stuff he produces, and they're all really good people. Highly recommend
very
checking it
sweet
out.
there. I've hung out there every once in a while, and it's always a very good time, and I consider it a gift every time I get the chance.
I just want to say, if anyone manages to get the Wand of Gamelon in this run, I'm going to be very, very impressed.
That could be the new name for the ice rod.
Oops, I fucked that up.
Mary, again, demonstrating one of the specific places in Link to the Past that if you can do really, really precise movement in a room, you can... Oh. I was going to say, if you don't get the movement precise, it goes into chaos and the fight goes really long, but actually that was a really, really good fight, despite missing the quick kill at the start.
The
point is, I mess up that room every time.
Yeah, like, I still haven't gotten it down. Like, I'm trying and failing, but I've gotten really good at recovering.
Very cool bomb jump by Sailor Nep there.
So a fun fact about the setup I used for that bomb jump, it is a coincidence that the line I need on the tile lines up with the line in Sailor Moon's hair.
Nice.
So it's very easy for me to remember.
So one thing I do want to point out, so the point that Sailor Nep is just walking past right here, someone, I think Sailor Nep said earlier that there's a lot of like really happy accident that the structure of Zelda 3 turns out to be so good for randomizers, but it's not, if you think about it, it's not completely a coincidence, because there's some specific things about the design of Zelda 3 that kind of like wind up having relevance to randomizers, even though that wasn't the intent. And one of them is that a thing that the Zelda designers did a lot of is that there will be so they have things where once you get an item, you can get into a new area. But a lot of the times, a path or an area will have more than one way to get in, and there will be kind of like maybe like a slightly slower way that you get with the first item that you get. But then later in the game, you'll get an item that kind of opens up a shortcut, either between two areas or just a shorter way of traversing a particular path. And when you're doing the randomizer, that winds up creating these kinds of really interesting sort of doors with two locks. So, like, for example, the palace that Sailor Nep is in right now, before she got there, there was she got there using the magic mirror, but you can also get to that palace by coming in from the right if you have the hook shot and the magic hammer. So in the randomizer, you kind of are having to keep track of like, well, I can get to the Tower of Hera if I have either the hook shot and the hammer or the magic mirror, and that can be relevant because it's possible the magic mirror could be inside the Tower of Hera. And there wasn't any conscious decision that the designers made of like, well, you can get in here using either of these two items. They were just thinking like, oh, to make it feel like you got something cool when you get the hammer, we'll make it so that once you get the hammer, you can get into this area through a different route, and that'll just be neat. But it wound up being really helpful for the randomizer.
Speaking of things that are helpful, you can help your community by donating to mutual aid fund or bail fund in your area, like these people did. We have a donation from Oro for $50 to the East of the River Mutual Aid Fund. They say, a Link to the Past randomizer. Hype! Go Sailor Nep and Lilithend. Black Lives Matter and all cops are bastards. We have a $10 donation from James to the Act Blue National Bail Fund. James says, Mary, make sure you don't forget the Wand of Gamelon.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good.
lot of reminders. Don't do it. Don't fuck this up.
What did Cameron do?
Next, we have a $29.70 donation from Fiona to the Act Blue National Bail Fund. They say, another donation to say again, Black Lives Matter, fuck cops, and I love you, Lilithan.
Aw. I love you too, Fiona.
And I'm just going to round out this suite of donations because we have just been pushed over $11,000.
Jeez.
We have a $50 donation from Alex Velasco, and they say, actually, they don't say anything. Let's just go to the Metro Atlanta Mutual Aid Fund, and a $251 donation from Anonymous to the Act Blue National Bail Fund. Thank you all so much for your incredible support over these last few hours. These last 2 blocks especially, we've hit almost $11,200, and that is an unreal amount of money. Thank you so much.
It really is amazing.
Hey, Nap.
Yes.
Was there an item in Tower of Hera basement?
No.
Okay.
Where was the Titan's Mitt?
In the basement cage in Tower of Hera.
Okay.
Damn it.
So I didn't check. Are we doing Turtle Rock this run?
Haven't been to the Dark World yet, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
We'll find out soon, I hope.
So as mentioned before, there are 3 boss. There on any one randomizer run, there are 8 palaces that are mandatory, and 3 that are maybe or maybe not needed, but you can usually skip. But you don't know which ones until you take a look at the map. So when you look at the map, it says, "Oh, this crystal is in this palace, or this pendant is in this palace."
And this feels like a really jet seed.
Yeah, y'all are just getting right to the palaces.
Yeah, this seed has played fairly nice so far.
Of course, one thing about the randomizer is that the worst seeds sometimes wind up being the most fun, or at least the most memorable.
So we will be going to Turtle Rock.
Cool. So what your goal looks like in this game, your goal is to beat Ganon. In order to do that, you need, there's some things that you would like and also some things that you need. Beating Ganon, I think you can do it with just the level 2 sword and the lantern. What you ideally are supposed to have is the level 3 or 4 sword and the silver arrows. But depending on how long you're willing to take, how good you are at it, and how much nonsense you're willing to put up with, you can beat Ganon silverless. You can beat Ganon with an underpowered sword. Can you beat Ganon with a hammer, or do you have to use a sword?
Only in the swordless mode. Otherwise, they're not... I don't think they're vulnerable to hammer hits in Phase 4.
Okay.
But it's like a 1-frame window where they have a vulnerability in the first place, so it's very hard to time the hammer hits.
So this mode refers to one of the settings for the randomizer is that it just doesn't put swords in the game anywhere.
Because some people are monsters. I say this, but I actually like swordless. I think it's an interesting change of pace.
I mentioned doing the I mentioned doing the Zelda / Super Metroid crossover randomizer a couple weeks ago, and I actually got in a situation where for a really, really long time, the only weapon I had in Zelda was the blue cane, which is interesting because it uses magic. I think the second weapon I got was the fire, so it was like there's just lots of weird little situations that come from randomizers that you wouldn't normally encounter. In this game that I was playing, I had no weapons at all. Ooh, that's good. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Mary got a good item. I had no weapons at all in the Zelda mode that I could use without using up magic. And I never, at any point in the entire game, got bombs in Super Metroid. So I was having to use power bombs instead. So attacking in Zelda and using bombs in Metroid were both things that had resources associated with them. I had to be really careful about counting my bombs, which is something you never think about when you're playing normal Metroid, but it was really fun to have to think about the game in a new way.
Ooh. Finally.
Alrighty, I'm gonna take some time to read a donation that just came in. We have a donation from Lynn for $6.90 to the Act Blue National Bail Fund. They say, I just sent some Vietnamese articles to my family group chat. I've always shut my mouth when the family talks politics, but I'm tired of the casual racism. Anybody got tips on having this conversation about racism and Black Lives Matter? Attack and dethrone God, the biggest cop of all. Yeah, so I just want to remind folks that I will be doing donation matching for any donations of $13.12 up to a maximum of $131.20. At which point my bank account will not allow me to do any more donation matching. But I would love to get to that point where I can put in that $131.20 donation. And also, remember that as much as the big donations count, the small donations matter just as much, right? We're looking for consistency here, and everyone contributing what they can. From each according to their ability, to all according to their needs.
So just to make sure everyone is following what's happening on Mary's side, Mary rescued a frog who turned out to be a dwarf transformed, and then freed a bat from a cave who proceeded to cast a horrible curse on her. The horrible curse was 1/4 of a heart container. I hope this clears up everything.
By the way,
now Mary has a cool cape.
You can skip Magic Bat. It's a waste of time.
I'm gonna do it anyway. It'll be fun.
Okay.
The bat must fly free.
That's fair. Respect.
Just
like
if
you
it
have to
pisses
free
that
the
off.
chickens.
And folks, you can free essential members of your community by donating to local community bail funds.
One thing that's maybe a little bit too bad about the randomizer is in no version or route of the randomizer do you wind up doing the thing where you turn a chicken into a human and the chicken gets really flustered.
They should reward you with an item for doing that.
So by amazing coincidence, both Mary and Sailor Neb at the same time used a kind of a weird glitch that only works in the Japan version. The idea is that you can, if you're pushing a block and you use one of certain items like the magic mirror, the game gets really confused and the block just disappears.
So with regards to glitches, this community, the randomizer community, actually has a council of members that sort of discuss and kind of feel out community opinions and then vote upon whether or not certain glitches should be competitively legal. So it's kind of like, do whatever you want when playing casually, but if you're in community races, there are certain rules to abide by, and so there's a very clear sense of what you're allowed to do and what not.
Do you know how to do mini... Oh,
sorry. What was your question?
I was just going to ask, do you know how to do main major glitches?
There's certainly some that I do know how to do. I'm not particularly well practiced in that though.
Okay. I was going to say, like, if we end up finishing this, like, seed before our 2-hour block is up, I can't do any of the major glitches, but you should show off some of them if you can.
We definitely could maybe find some time for that.
Sounds fun. One thing is that exploration glitch is actually incredibly easy to get.
Which one is that? Like, I'm not familiar with the glitch names.
That's the one where you fall underneath the floor and can walk around the entire game outside of the walls.
Oh yeah, that's just normal.
Yeah, that's also a good example of one of the glitches that is not allowed in a competitive environment, since it would largely undermine a lot of the gameplay.
You can basically walk from almost any room in the game to almost any room in the game just by wandering around outside the walls. It turns out that so this game has, I hope I'm not about to describe this wrong, but this game has 4 maps. There's the light world map, there's the dark world map, there's the indoors map, and then there's a second indoors map. I guess the second indoors map is mostly empty. I guess they just ran out of room on the first indoors map. But any like caves, palaces, any of these things, they're actually just all on the same map. If you could like where Mary is right now, if Mary broke out of the wall to the right somehow and just walked to the right, she would be in some other part of the cave or possibly some other cave entirely. And if you've got like kind of the shape of this this secret all rooms in the world connected indoors map, you can just walk from anywhere to anywhere. The result of this is that if you look at the true 80% category on speedruns.com, you can beat this game in about a minute and a half. And the minute and a half run is completely inscrutable. Link walks out of the house at the start, does something confusing, walks from the right to the left side of the screen wraps, walks from the right side to the left side of the screen twice, enters a cave, and then just sort of falls out of the floor and runs through a couple different places. And then it turns out that the way to beat the game, you don't actually have to beat Ganon. All you have to do is walk one room up from Ganon, because normally when you beat Ganon, a door opens, you walk through and you get the above. But if you're underneath the floor, you could just walk under Ganon, go up one room, and the game's like, you're in the Triforce room, you must have won the game. That minute and a half run is unbelievably difficult to learn, but there's a 3-minute version, which is actually extremely easy to learn. So if you look on speedrun.com, there are hundreds and hundreds of people at the speedrun about 3 minutes, because that's just a run that anyone can learn in maybe half an hour. Fun too.
Wow, these are really generous bottles. Oh my.
I have some donations ready, one of which inflicts terrible psychic violence on me, so I'm really excited to read that one. First, from Chris Plant, we have $100 to the Austin Justice Coalition. Chris Plant says, "Thank you all for running the stream and continuing to champion empowering causes. I wish all video game streams were set to regular shoutouts to people giving donations." We have a $51 donation from Xandra to the Act Blue National Bail Fund. They say, "Thanks to Andy for introducing me to Zelda through Randomizer, and thanks to everyone for this important donation drive. Let's create a world without police, without prisons, and without racial inequality." And finally, we have a $44 donation to the Act Blue National Bail Fund from Hendrix Trog. Hendrix Trog says, "Hi everyone, just wanted to share a Zelda joke to Mary during this awesome race to support folks fighting for Black lives. What is Link's favorite song? Hit me with your hook shot."
Oh my god.
And on that note, I'm going to go lay down for a couple minutes until we get the next donation, just under my desk where it's kind of like, hard and soft and warm, until we have another batch.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm sorry.
So Mary is currently in Ice Palace, which correct me if anyone disagrees, but I think I can say I speak from the community when I say that Ice Palace is basically everyone's least favorite palace.
Yeah, no, that sounds right.
I've actually personally come to like the Hookshot Palace less now that I have, especially now that I've started doing normal speedruns. But Ice Palace is the one everyone complains about.
So, the Palace has actually gotten a bit easier in recent times due to a recently discovered glitch that I'm going to show off, which is like 60% of the reason I came here, because this is actually a pendant dungeon. So it is possibly a big waste of time for me to be here. Oh my god.
I like how if you don't know what glitches are, like watching someone trying to do a glitch just looks like them acting completely arbitrarily. Woo! Good find. Is that what's called Icebreaker?
Yes. Which, it is perfectly normal to walk through walls, I promise. I don't have the hammer, what the hell am I doing here?
Nice.
I was just like, yeah, I've got the hook shot, the Cane of Samaria, I'm fine. I have Fire Rod.
So the problem with the Ice Palace is that there's a really, really fast way to just come in the front door and just book it directly for the boss. It involves one kind of hard trick, but it's an interestingly challenging trick. However, when you're doing the randomizer, you don't get to just book it for the boss. You need to check the chests because the chests might contain mandatory items. But using the icebreaker trick there, what you can do is it's a lot easier because you can just sort of jump directly to the sort of the end of the intended route of the dungeon and kind of go up through the back door. I do not know this glitch.
The icebreaker glitch was actually kind of interesting for the community because when it was decided that it would be legal in competitive races, that's actually the first time the typical rule set has deviated from the any percent no major glitches rule set, which when that glitch was discovered, they decided to ban it.
Do you know if it's allowed in 100% no major glitches? Because I don't think it's actually a useful glitch in any percent run.
I actually have not followed up on the 100%, so...
It seems like the kind of thing they wouldn't allow.
Yeah, I would say for consistency, probably no.
Making a Zelda, especially because we run on the 1.0 Japan version of the game, making a rule set for speedruns in Zelda is actually a little bit difficult because there are so many powerful glitches, and a lot of the glitches are just plain too powerful. Like, for example, rooms that you can do in the first one or two rooms of glitches you can do in the first one or two rooms of the entire game let you walk directly to the end. The history of trying to stomp out glitches has led to some interesting things like trying to establish, no out of bounds categories, and then it turning out you can completely break the game by drinking a potion and walking through a door at the same time.
The person who actually discovered that glitch, I think it's Yasuhara, I'm terrible at remembering their name, is one of the major glitch finders in the Link to the Past community. They've found, so many weird bugs, especially with the Cane of Samaria, that just enable a lot of, really interesting plays.
Yeah, one of the running jokes in the community is, so when are we going to ban the Cane of Samaria?
the cane of Samaria being the blue cane that you might have seen used a couple of times. It kind of gives you a force field.
The Cave
an
Smart
item
is
you
the
can-
red one.
Whoops, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, that makes... Sorry, I forget the names. That makes it a lot funnier because the cane of Samaria is mandatory to beat the game.
Yes.
So, things you need to beat the game. You would like the red sword and you would like the silver arrows to beat Ganon, but you don't necessarily need them. The big blocker is if you wind up having to do Turtle Rock, because Turtle Rock is normally the final normal dungeon, and they sort of pull out of the stops and are like, all right, you're going to need to use almost every item you collected over the entire game. So in order to beat Turtle Rock, you need the Cane of Samaria, the thing that lets you create blocks. You need the red and blue. If you don't have the Cane of Samaria, you can't even get through the front door. You need the ice and the fire wands because you need both to beat the final boss of the dungeon. And you need, in order to even get into Turtle Rock, you need both the hammer and you're going to need one of the 3 magic spells. Although, which of the 3 magic spells you need is random because we're playing the randomizer. So that's in like 5 or so items, I've lost count, that you need just to do Turtle Rock. And incidentally, you would like to have the magic mirror, and you would like to have the hook shot. So just an enormous number of checks. And if it turns out you don't need Turtle Rock, then that means that suddenly a lot of items are not necessary. When we're doing randomized, we normally have this phrase "go mode" for, okay, you've collected every single item that you need to beat the game, and now all you're doing is you're just completing palaces until you have the crystals and you can beat things, but you're no longer having to think about chest check. So when you go into go mode, you basically change to a completely different route. Normally you're doing a route where you're collecting every single chest, and then the moment you hit go mode, you have to kind of mentally shift and be like, okay, now I'm hitting no chests. I'm avoiding every single chest.
I just want to check, is my feed still coming through okay? I just suddenly had Discord refresh without me asking.
Yeah, your screen share did drop, yeah.
Your screen share dropped. I'm not sure if...
Okay, I'll refresh it.
Ren, can you just verify that Nep's actual stream is still up?
The stream on Twitch is fine.
And going good.
Cool, cool. Just making sure.
Our back end
Should be
for
open.
this, everything's correct. Our back end for this, we're sharing our voices using Discord voice chat, and we're the streamers are monitoring each other's streams using Discord screens. Mary, what did you just do?
I went invisible and slashed at eyes a bunch.
Cool. Oh, were you just using the magic cape?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
because I don't have silver arrows, and it just seemed like the easiest way to beat Viddy.
I thought you'd done some kind of weird glitch there.
No.
Sorry,
no.
got distracted.
Sorry.
May I read 2 donations?
Go for it.
Yes.
We have a donation from Cause for $10 to the Act Blue National Bail Fund. They say, thank you, hot gamers. Thank you for donating. That makes you a hot gamer yourself. That's actually the only requirement for being a hot gamer is that you donate or at least share this this post on Twitter, so we can have more folks show up. Next, we have a $59.22 donation from Joel to the Crown Heights Mutual Aid. And Joel says, contributing to grocery buys for neighbors via our local mutual aid organization. If you like randomizers, try going to a grocery store with someone else's list and then routing to their house for delivery. Which is a very good bit, thank you. You should do that.
So the thing I was going to say earlier is that we are doing the way that I'm while commenting this and monitoring the streams is by using Discord screen share, but you're only allowed to watch one Discord screen share at once. So what I wound up doing was creating a second Discord account and logging in a separate browser so that I can log into the chat twice and watch 2 different screen shares, which is all to say that we are using glitches just to give you this stream. Discord any percent speedrun.
Someone get Hadrian Bot in here and we can talk about how Discord is a good and functional application.
The room Mary just passed through there, Salem did earlier, is, in my opinion, the worst room in the entire game normally, but Salem and Mary both had the Cane of Samaria by the time they got there, so it was easy.
Cane of Samaria just like really makes life easier, to be honest.
Yeah.
It really does.
You were mentioning that it's useful for a lot of glitches, but just in general, like, the Cane of Samaria is almost like a sort of officially supported way of glitching the game. It's kind of fun if you think about it. Zelda is a universe that is all about switches that you put blocks on top of, which means what is the most powerful superpower in Hyrule? It's the ability to create a block.
That checks out, yeah.
Similarly, there's a part in Wind Waker where they have hidden away the power of the Triforce or the Master Sword or something, and they're like, this is the path that only the hero may walk, and it's just a block push puzzle, which you could take as kind of ludonarrative dissonance or questionable writing, or you could take it as that Link has the superpower of being able to push around blocks, whereas everyone else is merely baffled by blocks and pushing them.
I mean, have you ever pushed a block, IRL?
I have never in my entire life pushed a block, much less onto a switch. Which I guess
Just
means I'm
goes
not
to
the
show
hero.
you. So there's actually an interesting, like, fact about Mothula, the boss I just killed. In the vanilla game, they cannot be hurt by the 4th level sword. If you're not supposed to have it by that point, it's locked by the 5th and 6th crystal bosses, and this is like the 2nd or 3rd one. But if you try and use that against it, then you actually run into a problem where your sword just doesn't work. So they actually changed it in the randomizer so that the 4th level sword does 3rd level sword damage to Mothula.
And I'm glad for that, because how mean-spirited would it be to just be, you by a chance got another sword, now you had to fight with just the fire rod or the hammer.
Extremely rude.
Did they fix the problem with the spikes in Mothula?
No, spikes.
That's...
If you knock Mothula into spikes, it does no damage. It overwrites your damage.
So this is the case of the randomizer fixing bugs to solve problems it created, but that bug's part of the game. You just need to learn it.
Oh my god.
So here's the hammer in a really weird place, with a really weird, like, normally this is one of the stranger puzzles in the game, and you either do it toward the very end or you just don't do it at all. What Mary is about to do here is, in fact, the intended way to do this room.
Yeah, you can. So you're supposed to, like, hook shot across that, but you can technically just kind of, like, walk up along the wall. It's very strange.
So, I know where you are, and the funny thing is, I was actually just realizing, hey, I just ran past Bumper Ledge, I need to go back and check it. So now I really need to go back.
Yes, you definitely need to go back and check it. Do you want convenient Dark World access?
Yeah.
Oh no, I dropped 2 bombs.
So we're about an hour in, and I'm gonna tell you, I hope this doesn't tell you too much, but I have not actually been to Hype Cave.
Neither have I! Like, I just kept getting pulled away by other routing things. Like, I'm like, okay, I'll get down there eventually, but first I'm gonna do the North Dark World route, and oh, but I should go turn in Smith, because I have this. And I was like, oh, but I could do the Magic Bat while I'm there, and then I lost my Dark World access. And I was like, I'll do it eventually. Fuck it.
Yeah, that seems to be about the right tone with that.
One of the things about the randomizer is the most important parts of the game become the least important, and the least important rooms in the game become the most important. Because the most important thing is having lots of opportunities to check chests. So the Hype Cave mentioned is a room that has like 4 or 5 chests. I guess there's maybe 2 or 3 Hype Caves. Actually, both runners are currently checking the Dark World Hype Cave at the same time. Normally, this room is 100% optional. It contains some useless stuff like arrows and... okay, I guess it's exactly as useless in this C8 as it is normally. But sometimes in runs this can be really important because 5 chests, that's a lot.
And then sometimes it just turns out, oh, you would have been better off forgetting that it exists.
And other times, the item that you really, really, really need to beat the game is the person in the cave, and you just forgot to talk to them.
Oh no. Have you done that before?
I have done that before. Not with the Dark World Hype Cave, but I have done that with the Light World Hype Cave.
Oh no.
So this is Kiki. Everybody say hi, Kiki.
Hi, Kiki. Bye,
Hi,
Kiki.
I'll see you in a bit, Kiki.
Kiki got paid. Kiki's done here.
Look, always pay the people who work for you. Kiki provides a valuable service and deserves their payment.
And pay for people who don't work for you by contributing to local mutual aid funds. Actually, no, your community does work for you. Forget the thing I just said, I take it back. Your community does work for you. You should pay into it. Just like these folks did for their communities. Emily Sue donates $150 to the San Diego County Mutual Aid, donated the San Diego County Mutual Aid Fund and the STL Mutual Aid Fund. Thanks, y'all. They also donated $100 to the STL Mutual Aid Fund, so it's a total of $250. We have some donations we missed earlier in the day because our spam filter on our email did play a nasty trick on us. So we have a donation from Haley Stills for $175 to the Act Blue National Bail Fund.
Hell yeah,
And
Stills.
they say, I don't want the Animal Crossing money. I just want to say fuck the cops. Black Lives Matter. And thank you. Thank you for relinquishing your Animal Crossing funds. And we also have a donation from Jason Melvin from 9:47 a.m. for $55 to the Act Blue National Bail Fund. Alrighty, folks. On this note, my time reading donations has ended, so I am going to call in a sub to take up my reading position.
Thank you, Ren.
Bye, Ren.
So much.
So I'm just gonna hang out until he shows up. I'll be bringing my colleague, professional colleague and personal friend, Nicholas Grayson, who was here earlier for Ben's block, and I am so excited to be welcoming a second time. Hey, Nikki.
What's up, gamer?
Hey, Nikki.
Oh, okay. Aiden. Yep, we're good.
Oh, okay. Bye, gamers.
Bye, gamer. Lamau.
Well, I'll just wait until Aiden comes in.
Okay, perfect. All right, this is the handoff. This is a very messy handoff. It's more like a relay. We're doing a relay style handoff here. So I pass the baton. Goodbye.
Bye, Ren.
Bye.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
I didn't even know you could do that. That thing Mary just did. That was awesome.
What did you do?
I bounced off a wall to jump across a gap to make routing Palace of Darkness suck less.
Hell yeah.
The one-way jump in Palace of Darkness with the orb room, you can just do that backward, apparently.
As long as you have the boots, yeah.
Nice. Alright. I think I'm going to dip now. Because my services are no longer needed.
Okay.
Best of luck to you on your run.
Take care,
Bye.
Nikki.
Thanks so much.
Just in general, a lot of walking on water this game.
Where are you water walking to now?
I was in Swamp House doing a diver down.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I thought about diving Swamp Palace after I did Hype Cave, but I was like, it's a pendant. That's gonna burn me if I go in there.
You know what? You're right. It is a pendant. That is information I now know.
Did you not check your map?
You know, I checked my map. I just wasn't thinking. I was like, efficient routing. That's...
Well,
You can just say you did it in case there were any. You're doing checks. You're doing item checks.
you know what? It's just conservative routing. This is such a Neff move. Just go blind pull the pedestal. You've already killed Mothula.
I could do it.
I don't remember what the fourth pendant is. Is it Ice Palace? Or third?
Fourth pendant, huh?
Look.
The fabled fourth pendant.
Brought to you by Taco Bell, right?
Oh my god. Ah.
Sometimes it's hard to hit a turtle with a hammer.
Oh, I wanted to do like a hammer dash and then dash into... end your dash like right before those two turtles so you can knock them over. But I just could not land it. Oh my god, please, Helmosaur.
Alright, so regardless of whether or not it ends up being necessary, I'm gonna follow through on what you suggested. I'm gonna blind pull that pedestal. Hopefully we can get some head hype donations.
Of course. Let's start with a from Emily Shu. We have a $150 donation from Emily Shu to the San Diego County Mutual Aid Fund. And Emily says, donated to the San Diego County Mutual Aid Fund and the St. Louis Mutual Aid Fund. Thank y'all. Thank you, Emily. I believe Emily also, oh, that's the same same message. $150 to the San Diego County Mutual Aid Fund and $100 to the St. Louis Mutual Aid Fund. We have $175 from Haley Stills, the Act Blue National Bail Fund. I don't want the Animal Crossing money. I just want to say, fuck the cops, Black Lives Matter. Thank you so much, Haley. There is a $55 donation from Jason Melvin, again to the National Bail Fund, and no message on that, but the money itself is a good enough message. And $110 from Sam S. to the National Bail Fund. Sam says, loving the stream, on my way out to protest now. Black Lives Matter, love you all. Thank you so much, Sam, and stay safe at this protest. $100 from Claire to the San Diego COVID-19 Mutual Aid Fund. And Claire just has a heart emoji, and I think that speaks for itself. Thank you so much, Claire. A $75 donation from Chris Kohler to the National Bail Fund. Thank you for all your, thank you for all your hard work. And $100 for the Monique Craft for Great People Helping Great People Fund from Line. It looks like Line has donated quite a bit to a couple of things, so those are still coming in.
Oh, I can't do this.
Fighting worms with a bow and arrow.
They're really hard to hit. I can't do it.
So
Yeah,
just
it really takes practice.
So just to explain what's happening on Sailor Nep's side. So the normal progression of this game is you start in the light world, you get the green pendant. The green pendant gives you boots and a map to the other two pendants. You get the other two pendants. This gets you the Master Sword, which you pull out of a magical pedestal in the forest. The Master Sword allows you to enter the Tower of Agnehem. Beating the Tower of Agnehem gets you into the Dark World. In the Dark World, you complete 8 palaces, and then you do the Tower of Ganon, and you're done. But in the randomizer, because you're likely to get a path into the Dark World early, and anyway, there's no guarantee that the Master Sword will be in the magical pedestal in the forest, you probably don't need to do the pedestals. You probably don't need to do the pendant dungeons, because the only reason to do the pendant dungeons are, one, once you beat the green pendant dungeon, Sauralia will give you an item, and 2, if you get all 3, then you can pull something out of the magical pedestal in the forest. Because there's a randomizer, it could be anything. And Sailor Nep is about to do that just for pure YOLO reasons, without even knowing what it is. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That was worth it.
Nep, do you think we should tell Mary what it was? Or just let Mary wonder?
Let me
Okay.
guess.
Okay.
50 rupees.
You're gonna want to. This is like the Price of Right. The Price is Right, and you just guessed something too valuable.
Oh god. 10 arrows.
Exactly correct. I don't know how you did that.
Good tries.
So normally you would not randomly go for the pedestal. There's always a chance the pedestal could turn out to be something mandatory. Normally what you do is that in the normal game, you get a magical book that can... actually, I don't know if it's magical or if it's just a normal book. Let's say reading is magical, actually. Okay, that was a really cool Warp Between Worlds by Cernep, but anyway, you get a book that translates the ancient Hylian language, and you read the pedestal and it says, "Here sleeps the Master Sword." So because that was a part of the original game, in the randomizer, once you get the book, you can use it to read the Master Sword pedestal and find out what it is. So usually you don't even attempt the pedestal unless you've found the book and you have read the message and you know it's going to be something mandatory. But in this seed, I don't believe either runner has the book. They didn't have to get the book because the book, what the book does is it opens up the Desert Palace, and they were able to get into the Desert Palace through the back door because they had the flute and the mirror early. A thing about the logic in the randomizer script is set up so that it will always give you a completable seed. It will never ask you to do anything impossible. But what that means is that if something turns out not to be necessary, the randomizer kind of maybe prefers to put it pretty late. So, like, if you don't need the book because the thing that you would normally use the book for is being done by another item, the randomizer will just feel completely free to put the book at the very end of the game or in a place that you're almost certain to never check. This thing where the randomizer will a little bit prefer to put items that are strictly not necessarily late. There was a very, very brief period a few years ago where, after a particular change to the algorithm, the randomizer started tending to put all the sword upgrades in Ganon's palace at the end of the game, which led to a lot of beating bosses with hammers for about 2 weeks before everyone complained and they put special casing in for the sword so that you get them at more or less regular intervals.
Cowards.
That was a fun 2 weeks.
So Mary did the bonk strat to make this upcoming room and pod faster. I'm going to do a different trick that was discovered a couple months ago. It's technically just a little faster than that if I do it right. And I did.
What on earth?
So that's another weird interaction with should-be banned item Cane of Samaria. That if you set a block there and move diagonally down, and then just dash up into the stairs, that'll get all the work done, and you'll just go through the blocks for no good reason.
I'm gonna have to watch this back because I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
It was weird.
Also, hey, I now see that you were right to make the pod play like a reasonable person would.
Yeah, there was a good bit of progression there.
A little bit.
So here, Mary is entering Turtle Rock. And you will see very rapidly why the Cane of Samaria is considered required for this dungeon.
Wow, I missed that.
It's because without it, you just wind up jumping in this pit.
So, technically speaking, you can get around that. There's a trick called hovering that I can't do. But, like, it lets you just kind of float over open pits. So, like, hypothetically speaking, you can clear Turtle Rock without the Cane of Samaria. That sounds like an absolute nightmare, though. I don't think any reasonable person would do that.
Chat mentioned this and actually did mention that someone actually did this once, which if you're just watching, if you haven't seen hovering before, hovering is absurdly difficult. It is considered like a true pro level strat to hover for like, a couple of in-game feet. But that first passageway alone in Turtle Rock is so long. Mary demonstrating choice paralysis on whichever 2 invincibility items to use.
I should have gone with the Cane of Burna, because it activates instantly.
So, earlier, the chat went totally nuts. I was like, what was that? What's that happening on the left screen? I think Sailor F screen. What was that? What was that? I'm like, oh, did I miss a trick? And they described it, and apparently it was an ad for soup.
That's so unusual.
Apologize.
2 guys playing Smash Brothers, and I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I am, for this, just restreaming Sailor Nep's Twitch directly, so that we can get both people on at once, but that is the downside.
That explains the mystery.
We're just gonna not take a death here.
Not dying strats are usually considered faster than dying strats.
That's my experience, but, I'm willing to listen to somebody better than me tell me I'm wrong.
So if you're
One
playing...
of my... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was actually just going to say one of my offline friends just messaged me and said, for reference, it was a chunky soup ad.
So these little flaming skulls, if you're playing this game and you're 9 years old and it's 1993 and there's no internet, these things are really, really deadly enemies. However, if you know about this trick where you can use the magic powder to sprinkle on them and to turn them into fairies, they are now free health.
I legitimately didn't know about that playing this game as a child. So, when I watched a randomizer for the first time, I was like, oh my god, you can do that?
I didn't know either.
Oh my... Please, game. Oh, no! I thought I had picked that up earlier.
Both runners in Turtle Rock now.
I just want to say, Nep did a whole 2 extra dungeons and is still probably going to beat me to Gan's Tower. So, props.
We have a couple of donations from Line. $100 to the Monique Craft for Great People Helping Great People. $100 to the Solidarity Supply Distro. And $100 to Mutual Aid and Defense New Hampshire. All with the message, in all caps, Hot Gamer Solidarity. Thank you so much, Line. We have $500 from Anjou to the Defend Glendale Public Housing Coalition with the message, I'm Anjou from Minneapolis, and I appreciate all the work you folks are doing. I wasn't aware of this particular mutual aid project before this, and I'm happy to help them. Thank you for your work here. Thank you, Anjou, for your incredibly generous donation. We have $50 from Adam Schaefer to the National Bail Fund with the message, ACAB, Black Lives Matter. Short and sweet. I love it. Thank you so much, Adam. $10 from Cause, or Coz, it's K-O-Z. $10 from Coz to the National Bail Fund with the message, be gay, smash the fash, and abolish the police.
So how is everyone doing on crystals? Is Turtle Rock the final dungeon for both of you?
It is for me.
It is for me as well.
Awesome. So we're going to be going from Turtle Rock here to the end game. Mary guzzling Mountain Dew over here. And this room that Mary is in right now is why you might want the laser sword, or the laser, sorry, why you might want the mirror shield in order to do this dungeon.
Oh dear.
Mary working around it with a cool invisibility cape. So Mary coming up on the boss of Turtle Rock, Sailor Nep not far behind. This boss, this single room, is the only reason why the Iced Wand is required at any point in the entire game.
Alright, good. Sorry.
So I got to get my GT big key guessing game in. I'm gonna guess 7.
Alright, but which chest is that gonna be?
I don't know. That's really up to you.
Oh.
You're the one that's gonna get there first.
Okay, I mean, I guess that's fair.
So here's Mary entering Ganon's tower just as Sailor Nep leaves Turtle Rock a few feet away. So this is a very close race. When you enter Ganon's tower, you have one big choice to make at the start, which is do you go left or right. There's a stairwell on the left, there's a stairwell on the right. They lead to 2 different paths. In the speedrun, you ignore the path on the right and just go directly to the path on the left. But in the randomizer, it's kind of hard to guess which is going to be the appropriate way. So. You need to, at this point, you have all the items you need, but you do need the big key or you can't get upstairs where the boss fight is. And there are a lot of chests in Ganon's palace, like an incredible number of chests.
Your guess was incorrect.
I don't know how to take that. I'm like, did you check fewer than that or more?
That's a good question.
Yeah, there are 27 total item spots in GT, and 22 in which the big key can be.
So this is a big branch point for runs because you can play as well or as badly as you want. But if two players get to GT at about the same time, you know, the simple choice of do you go left or right could wind up, just that coin flip could wind up determining stuff.
Oh my god.
My first run or my second run of the randomizer, this room that Mary is in, I did not know it existed. So Sailor Nep just went through the big key door and is now on the way to the boss.
Oh, god damn it.
So as we saw, Mary got into Ganon's tower first, but did not happen to get first to the key.
Alright, well...
But there's still a chance to catch up. This is still a pretty close race.
You might find the Wand of Gamelon at the top.
You're not going to find the Wand of Gamelon.
You can't just spoil it like that! I haven't played this before!
Ah.
Oh my... What is your fucking problem, Bombs? I can't believe I'm going to have to drink another potion.
So one thing you'll notice when you go upstairs is that you have to refight some of the bosses from early in the game. Sailor Nep doing that room in a very cool, quick way.
The nice thing about the first Wizrose room is the fastest strat is also the easiest strat. It's very rare when it comes up, but sometimes you'll get a seed where you never get or need the Cane of Samaria, and then you'll get to that room. You'll see a lot of runners, myself included, go, wait, now what do I do?
So Mary now upstairs as well.
Please beam us.
Oh yeah, I kind of want some magic. Oh wait, I gotta open this chest. It's the moral thing to do.
Sailor Nep on the on the final boss of the Ganon's Tower dungeon. Mary, a few rooms behind.
Just a few.
Just a few. I mean, not a lot of rooms, but some of the rooms are somewhat large.
Zazak, please.
So there's the fairies, there's the anti-fairies who are the flaming skulls, and then there's the weird fairies that usually turn you into a bunny. But if you get them when they're still, they will give you a fairy. So Sailor Nep is fighting Ganon now. Excellent form here. Those bats are really hard to dodge.
Might be a bit appropriate for this run that it ends on taking down a blue pig.
Oh no, I messed this up. Spike?
So, you'll notice something that's really subtle that Sailor Neptune and probably Mary will do also. Oh wait, hold on. Coming up on time for Sailor Neptune here. Time.
Grats.
GG's.
So Sailor Neptune has won the race, but Mary is coming up quickly on the end. So what would the actual Sailor Neptune say in this situation?
You know, to tell the truth, I have not actually watched that series since I was myself a teenager, so I don't know that I'd give a good answer there.
Fair enough.
Oh, that's bad. Well,
Perhaps in the overall context, she would say ACAB, Black Lives Matter.
alright, so what we're going to do here is, because I didn't bother coming up here with an extra key and did not find one, I'm just going to load the practice hack and fight Ganon.
Fair enough.
Like, oops.
If you're learning this randomizer, you're going to eventually do that to yourself, and it always hurts. But the good thing is, once you do it, you kind of learn not to do it again.
What I remember is Mary unnecessarily used a key in the first room of the Ganon's Tower. I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh no, it was intentional. Like, So I know that, generally speaking, if Nep finds a small key there, she will just go full right. So I was like, this is basically my only chance of potentially actually, like, beating her on the climb, is there being a small key there and then the key being on the left side. So I intentionally decided to just use that key to go left, and then I was hoping there would be one on the climb, since I didn't see a second one on the right side.
That's actually some very smart reasoning, but unfortunately you failed the coin flip, so...
Yep, that's fine.
It happens.
Yeah, I do in fact like that play myself. Pretty often I like to just ignore the right side and hope that it's bait, because the competitive meta, a lot of people will go to the two chest room first, and if they get a small key, they'll go right. So if it's not there, then you can save a minute.
My big mistake was forgetting to grab the key after the compass room that's just like in that little escalator area, or
Oops.
whatever it's called. Yeah, no, that was just me blanking.
I feel like my biggest mistake was not remembering that Swamp House is abandoned.
That's, you know, that's fair. I do feel like that was probably a mistake. But, you know, everybody makes mistakes.
It's okay. That led to us getting to see the pet pool, get those amazing 10 arrows, so...
When exactly did you get the butter sword? Do you remember?
I only had Tempered Sword, so I don't know.
Where was that fourth sword? I don't
Was it
quite
in-
recall.
Was it in
It
Ice
might be that
Palace or
doing
Swamp?
unnecessary dungeons was what got you the butter sword. I don't remember.
It might have been in... I think it was in Swamp.
That checks
If you
out.
look-
There's a lot of checks there.
If you look carefully, Mary is about to do kind of a subtle trick, or I assume you don't have to do this trick.
I can do it. Whenever you have silver arrows, it's not strictly necessary, but let's do it just because.
Just to show it off. And you got it. So if you, at this point in the fight, normally those two lanterns go out, and if you happen to light the left lantern in the middle of the going out animation, it gets confused, and the right hand lantern never goes out, which can be a time save or not help at all, but Mary did just because it's cool. So time coming up from Mary.
Huzzah! That was 100% definitely my siege. I did not load anything else.
Right.
So yeah, like, we could either like show off a few glitches, or if the people next up on the schedule want to start early, we could get them in here.
Who's next on the schedule?
I don't remember off the top of my head. Oh right, it's Paul. They're playing Tetris Effect.
Okay, they need a little more time. The sand chat. So
Okay.
Would you like to show off some glitches, Sailor Net?
Yeah, we can definitely try at least.
Cool.
I believe in
So
you.
So this has been Haunt Gamers Collective streaming the Link to the Past randomizer to raise money for community bail and mutual aid funds. If you want to donate, you can see a link to the instructions and our recommended donation points underneath the stream.
And
Speaking of donations, we
Yes.
have one $4.20 from Ben Huber for 42 to Mutual Aid Philly, and Ben says 420 blaze it, smash the fash, and fuck cops. Thank you so much, Ben.
Okay, so we've had some display during this run of legal glitches, but now we can maybe talk on some that are either disallowed for competitive racing or just a little more controversial. This one, if I can get it. Essentially, for some reason, some of these diagonal slopes are a little bit sketchy, and you can just kind of slowly dash tap your way into them.
This is one of those tricks that only works on the 1.0 Japan release of the game.
Yeah, I think my positioning is a little off here. This is actually really nice if you have the boots and a sword. You can get into position, and essentially what I'm going to do, if I can pull it off, is I'm going to go to one of the different spots and see if I have a little better luck with that. A number of things can happen depending on exactly how you're positioned. But the idea is you get into position, and once you're on the right spot, you let go, and during the spin slash, you switch what direction you're holding. And if you do it right, there's a chance of jumping down onto the ledge, letting you clip into the desert area.
You can use a similar trick to get into exploration glitch, which is you're outside the map in the indoor map, very close to the start.
Unfortunately, I'm just a little unprepared since this was kind of an on-the-fly thing.
Okay. Actually, here's
Sorry.
an idea. How about I try to teach Mary the any percent baby straps world route in the next 10 minutes? Because I promise I can actually do that.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
a good idea. On the
All right.
side, I'll do something a little silly that is a legal glitch.
All right.
Just let it speak for itself.
All right. So Mary, here's what you're going to want to do. Can you launch the normal game?
Yes.
Cool. So we're going to teach Mary to do the beat the game in 3 minutes. So just start and just play normally up until you meet your uncle. All right, so a tiny detail about running into your uncle in this passageway here that you almost never get a chance to notice, but it's very important for this route. Just go ahead and talk to him.
Okay.
When you get the sword from the uncle here, the game saves. If you die or you save and quit right now, you will restart from right here in this room. So go up into the castle, just normal like, and walk in the main castle area. Walk up to the upstairs.
Okay. When you say the upstairs, do you mean like this thing right here? Andy?
Sorry, I'm sorry, blanked out. I was not holding push to talk.
Oh.
So listen carefully. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to jump off of the little ledge there, and while you are in the air, while you're still in the air before you land, press select and hit save and quit. Okay, perfect. So restart. You are now falling. You are still falling. No, don't reset. Just press start.
Okay.
So when you do that, when you save and you quit and you reopen, the game still thinks she is falling. The falling flag is set. That memory location did not get cleared. So this is very important. Don't get hit for the next little bit. Go
Okay.
back into the castle and go back up to the upstairs.
Okay.
So for a brief explanation of what I did, that is known as a mimic clip. Essentially, mimics can still move while you're holding a wall. So you hold a wall so that you stay in place, and you just you press the horizontal direction against the wall for 1 frame, and then
Hold on. Don't jump off. Sorry. Just wanted to make sure that Mary didn't jump off. You done that? Okay, so what you're gonna want to do is go 1 room to the left from here, and there's a dude. You're gonna want to stand in the. I recommend kind of like tapping the floor to get his attention. the wall in the middle, like in the H, like the wall of the H. Yeah. But you're gonna. Yeah, this is okay. You're gonna want to let him just hit you. Just be facing away from him. Let him hit you with the sword. Maybe tap it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Okay. You are now under the floor because you were falling. You got hit, and the game just put you on the floor. Unfortunately, you are on the bottom floor, and that's not where you ought to be. But if you walk up, you are now in exploration glitch. You can walk around anywhere, and what you want to do is you want to go up a bit and to the right a bit. And I don't remember the exact route, but if you just walk up from here, yeah, you're outside the walls. Just go up from here.
What the fuck is that?
I think you want to go one room to the left because there's a thing where a lot of rooms the game will soft lock if you enter them this way. Yeah. Oh no! Oh no!
To go right through the door.
Okay, that was exactly the. Wait. Okay. We could try it again, or we could say that was exploration glitch. But if you start wandering around outside, you will be in different rooms, but you'll be using. You can just get exploration glitch again. You can't just do the jump, save and quit, and then fall onto the floor again. I don't remember the exact path. You want me to? I can pull up a path, or if you want, you can just explore and watch the tile sets freak out for a minute.
Let's just go ahead and do that.
Watch the tile sets freak out. Just it's from that one room. You want to go up a couple of screens and then somewhere up and to the right. Just wander around. But one thing that's really fun is that when you enter the indoor area, there's all of these different dungeons, but there's only one tile set. So you'll see all these dungeons, but they'll be using the Hyrule Castle tile set, even though they're caves or goodness knows what.
Also, I just want to say the mimic clip that Nep was doing is just like weird as hell. It like normally whenever you're dealing with those rooms, you need to actually just shoot the mimics with arrows, and you'll be able to. Oh, what the hell is happening here?
I think you're in the sewers now.
I think so, yeah, but just like
Magnahim's tower. You're getting closer. You're getting closer.
Nope.
Yeah. Some of these rooms you wander in and for example, if you wander into the, all right, here we are in the Tower of Hera.
Now, as one does.
Right. Oh, yeah, you can see your, remember, so Legend of Zelda has two layers. There's an upstairs layer and a downstairs layer. Right now you are on the downstairs layer, so you can see yourself through the holes in the upstairs layer.
This is very strange.
I don't know why the lantern's doing that. Okay, so be careful you don't accidentally go back in bounds here. If you walk carefully, you won't just walk through the walls, but if you walk up to the walls and you push through them, you'll kind of jump in like you were falling down onto them.
Okay.
But there will be a little bit of resistance. So if you... I can give you hints, or you can just try to get where you... this is interesting.
That's
now you're
sanctuary.
In the sanctuary.
Now I'm not in the sanctuary. I don't know what this is. Oh, this is
You're going away from Ganon at this point, but that's okay if you're just exploring.
Yeah, I'm
just
going
to go up to Ganon.
Okay.
But, there's any number of things you could be doing. You can get basically to the entire game from here. This is the highway to wherever you want. So for anyone watching the stream, we are just killing time until the end of the time slot, when we will be doing Tetris Effect, I think.
Yes.
Tetris Effect is such a wonderful game.
It's really amazing. Okay, you're getting closer here, actually.
Yeah, that looked vaguely like Ganon's tile set.
This is if you just wander around out here, it's really odd. There are certain rooms where this is close. I would go up from here. That's what I remember. Okay. You'll notice a bunch of rooms that are just like that. Just like I assume that they had some kind of level editor, and by default it would just make this empty room, and then you'd add doors or whatever. There's a lot of blank space that is just this.
Love
rooms like this over and over.
Empty, endless corridors.
This is something. Maybe? No, this is just another unused room.
Oh, this is
Oh,
Ice
you're nice,
Palace.
You may have gone past it. You may have. So if you go too
that's-
far up,
Oh, don't worry,
here's-
we just icebreakered. Like, this is normal.
yeah, you'll notice that this is not the correct tile set.
Yes.
If you go too far up in the indoor map, you will wrap around to the bottom of the indoor map. Oh, that's interesting.
I think that's technically Kakariko Well. Yeah.
You might. Oh, you've come in bounds. Sorry.
Oh no!
Exploration over.
Well,
Over here, I seem to have set up some sort of infinite dash, which definitely makes me think of certain Super Mario 64 task tech.
That's so cool.
I
Not
believe
quite
I
what I
have.
was going for, but I like
So
it.
we have managed to soft lock both streamers at once. That's
Good.
incredible.
Excellent.
I think
I've
that
never
might
seen
be
that.
not
There's a lot of ways to soft lock an exploration glitch. I've never seen this one before. But congratulations on finding a way to soft lock. So right now, Mary is stuck inside of a glitched out door, and Sailor Nep is stuck inside of a wall.
I'm sure Nep can get out.
Nep is out of the wall. And is now just trying to get herself right back into trouble.
That's what you got to do. The wall spits you out, you get back in. It always impresses me. It's not as popular a category, but there are people who do compete in categories where, in the randomizer, there are options to play with overworld glitches required in the logic. In that mode, it starts you with the boots so that you can do all these various little setups. And they're impressive. The thing I'm trying to do and failing at, like, they get it like almost every time, some of them actually. And it's just such a thrill to watch. It also looks very confusing in certain moments.
Hey, point of order. Why is Mary's screen getting narrower?
I don't.
Are you doing that, or
I'm not doing anything. I was going to ask you.
Wow.
I was like, oh,
what?
oh, I'm in Rain State. I got out of the castle in Rain
That's so
State.
weird.
The bottle.
That's what happens when you play a copy of Link to the Past with no label that you bought at a garage sale.
So we are now, for the record, had Mary by random walk managed to find Ganon's room and beat the game, the game ending would show in Rain State. You'd have that little series of cutscenes where different people around Hyrule are shown, but it would be raining. Okay, I think that's the end of our stream.
Yes.
Thank y'all for watching. Black Lives Matter. Paul and Mo are now ready to go.